Hey everybody, Dr. Rick dropping in on you. Leaving the office, headed to the gym. Look, I'm not going to be long, but I definitely want to talk about something that's kind of moving under the radar, which is interesting. I mean, with all the backing that came with this supposed pseudo movement, you would think that people will be talking about it, but everybody's real quiet. And I want to talk to you about what and who I'm talking about. Look, before I get started, don't forget, go to the description box, click the link, and support the work we're doing in the Black community with Black Men Lead. If you want to give generally to what we do, Black Men Lead, Restoring Ghettos, Forgotten Daughters, Black Empowerment, the Black Community Empowerment Movement, what music is life. All of these are things that we are doing in the community. But anyway, we are having a targeted fundraiser for Black Men Lead because there is a desperate need to engage and to prepare young Black males. We are filling in that responsibility at astronomical level. With that out the way, let's talk. There have been several investigative endeavors into Black Lives Matter from a journalistic perspective, and now several states, including California and Washington, are also saying that they're coming on board to investigate the fact that millions, as much as 60 million out of the 90 collected, is completely unaccounted for. And there's question about the vast majority of the money that was collected. Now, I'm talking about this because this is something that I pointed out years ago when it was happening. I had direct contact with people who were boots on the ground, literally in that area. Darren Seals, Neota Ura, were literally, for lack of a better term, screaming it from the rooftops, and no one wanted to listen. They literally came in and hijacked one of the most powerful movements I had seen in Black America in my lifetime, where Blacks were literally mobilizing, and it was bigger than somebody tearing down and burning the stuff in their neighborhood. This was a movement. This was a standoff between the government and its citizens. It was something that was going to force the world to pay attention. And the money brokers sent in Black Lives Matter, who had already by that time usurped the hashtag BLM and Black Lives Matter. That was actually something started before Ferguson, but they had hijacked it, and then they came in and hijacked the momentum and the exposure of Ferguson and blew Black Lives Matter up. It stopped being about Ferguson, and it starts being about Black Lives Matter. You still have people wearing Black Lives Matter t-shirts without understanding the dynamic. Darren Seals went as far as to tell you, whatever you do, don't associate him with Black Lives Matter. He has absolutely nothing to do with it. He told you it was a grift. It was one of the greatest and biggest grifts ever done on the Black community. I haven't seen anything like it since the civil rights movement, where let me leave that alone. Oof. Leave that alone, Rick. Leave it alone. But it's definitely a huge grift. They come in and they usurp it. Now, when I was pointing it out, everybody was accusing me of being jealous because they were getting funding. Well, first and foremost, what people don't realize is, in order to come in and move that way, they were backed by money. What happened is they came in backed by money, and they got to keep what they got, but they came in with a media leverage. They came in with media exposure. They came in, and Darren was trying to tell you, and Neota was trying to tell you. Nobody was listening. I was listening, and I was like, hey, what's going on down there? I'm coming back and I'm telling you guys. And then after they actually hijacked the movement and pretty much throttled it, which was why they were sent in. They were sent in primarily to grift money and to throttle the momentum. And that's exactly what happened. And what has happened for years, and when there seems to be a mobilization of black people that scares the powers that be, they send in other black people under the pretense of being a part of it to throttle it, to buffer it. And while people don't like to admit it, it's the truth about Dr. King. And once Dr. King either realized he was a buffer or got tired of being one and decided that he was going to be on the right side of history, within a year he was dead. So, you know, and then what did Darren Seals get for being honest and upfront? He was murdered. He was shot multiple times in his car and then set on fire. And we still haven't got the murderer for that. But it wasn't just Darren Seals. It was another 5 brothers who were calling the same shot, calling the same call, making the same claim over the next 3 years that ended up dead in the same fashion as Darren. None of their murderers have been found. Meanwhile, Patrice and D-Ray and everybody else is walking off buying $1 million homes and launching new media careers and everything else off of the backs of the people who were putting their lives on the line to fight for justice because of what had happened to Mike Brown. Now, what I found interesting when this was first brought to my attention was when I went to the site, a site that was supposedly, literally for an organization whose teeth were cut and gained momentum off of the death of Mike Brown. There was very little about black men. Not in the traditional sense. There was very little about black men and the black family. It was a lot of feminist talking points and LGBTQ talking points. It ain't got nothing to do if you want to, if you into the feminist thing and you into LGBT. This is not what this is about. Take your energy and your heat and your smoke somewhere else. I got time though. I definitely got time. But what I'm saying is that was their focus. But that's not what, they didn't cut their teeth. They didn't get the notoriety and the bolstering of their BLM hashtag because they were pro-feminist or they were feminist and pro-LGBTQ. They got it because they came there and they took front and center in what they were declaring as the fight for justice for Mike Brown and Mike Brown's family, and for the changing of laws and all of this other stuff that you know everybody thought they were fighting for, when the truth of the matter is none of that money went to programs. Millions. We're talking about $100 million, somewhere close to $100 million that we know of, where over 60 million of it, depending on who you ask or more, is completely unaccounted for. And you're saying that I was upset, not you, but a lot of people was claiming I was upset because they got funding. And the whole thing is, I still choose not to jump on something and play on people's emotions to get money. I'm going to tell you what's really out there, what's really going on, and why we really need to be supporting this. Because look, our young boys are killing themselves. They're killing our daughters. Second leading cause of death for a black female between the age of 15 and 44. Intimate partner homicide, predominantly coming from black intimate partners. That's a reality. That can be fixed. That can be changed. The program is in place. So that's what I'm going to tell you. Either you're going to support it or you're not. But my problem wasn't with the fact that they were getting funded, because there are other platforms out there that are quote unquote black platforms, at least on the surface, that are definitely getting more traction than my pay. I'm probably I'm on the lowest top when we talk about viewership and all that other stuff. You know, I get most of my stuff in what I do outside of the Black Voice channel. I do work. I'm literally working with parents of kids, especially young black males, who are struggling in one way or another, whether it be in mental health, whether it be in addiction, whether it be in some form of intellectual challenge. I'm doing my work, and I'm going to continue to do my work. And, luckily I do own my own business, so I don't depend on what I do for the Odyssey Project to pay my bills, because I would probably be starving just alone, much less being able to take care of my family. So it has nothing to do with me personally in the sense of how well I'm doing, but it definitely has something to do with what I'm passionate about and what I think could actually be done if we actually got together and came together and supported it. So we're talking about $100 million they grifted and ciphered out of the black community off of the blood of Mike Brown. And they worked with, and here's the thing, I'm pretty sure some Democratic candidates got money. I'm pretty sure, it's all kind of money trails if you want to go really chase it. If you start doing forensic examinations of what his money is going, you're going to start finding out that it funded a bunch of stuff that still black people didn't benefit from. It didn't fund programs in the black community. It didn't fund any type of movement to actually hold police departments accountable. It didn't do any of that, but I guarantee you're going to find that some local politicians initially benefited from it. Then it moved out, and it presented opportunities for some of these people to get political clout, especially D-Ray and Patrice, and you look it up, and then they're buying multiple $1 million homes. And let me say, I have no problem with people eating. I have no problem with people eating when they're providing value, when they're giving something. There are some people online, I'm not calling any names, they are eating very well off of their platforms, but they're also providing something for what they're getting. And I have no problem with that. I'm not going to sit up and say, hey, that's what I would do or how I would do it. But what I'm saying is they're offering something so a person has a choice of whether they want to buy it or not. But when you're sitting up saying you are for something and you're raising money to fight for that thing, and then people look up and you're driving $80,000 cars, living in $1 million homes, and you can't show me where you touch the community, that's a problem. That is a problem. And here it is. They, are finally being held accountable. Well, not held accountable yet, but they're now under scrutiny. They should have been under scrutiny. When you go on a page and you can't find a positive paragraph about black manhood programs for black men, for wrongfully convicted, none of the stuff on there. It's all highly egregious feminist rhetoric and support for the LGBT community. And you can support whatever you want to, but you shouldn't be doing it with dollars that were reared to address a specific issue that you're not even touching. Tell me outside. Now, the only time that you see it is when some high profile case pops up and there's a chance to jump back out there and put your hashtag out there to keep it on fire. That happened. But again, where was the policy? Where was the fight for policy? Where was the fight for legislative change? Where was the fight for all the things that could have been done with that money? Where was the lobbying that could have been done with that money? Why wasn't, at least one politician put on the payroll? Anything to sit up and say, man, we went out and this is what we did. And it's not there. Okay, so now there are a number of articles that are literally digging off into it and coming to the, hey, we need to find out what's going on. We need to call this BS. And I am going to stay on top of it because I want to find out exactly what did happen. But what I want to do is I want to challenge my people to be aware. And when I was talking about, man, that's Black Lives Matter. It's better something than nothing. We've got all kind of excuses when we get called to task on something. We've got all kind of excuses why it's not that big of a deal, why we tripping or you just hating and all that. No, man. I want what I saw in Ferguson to be carried out and finished is what I wanted. And I didn't care who did it. I was trying to be as close to that as I possibly could with everything else I had going on. So I was literally checking in and figuring out what was going on. And I had made a very solid connection and friendship with Neota, whose heart is broken by what happened to Darren, whose heart is broken by the fact that we lost that momentum and we have never regained anything close to it. The people in Ferguson and the people in St. Louis are still where they were or worse. All the people who came in behind that and was built on that and backed again by George Soros and put in offices have proven to be completely ineffective and jokes from Wesley Bell on down. Wesley Bell was supposed to reopen the case in investigation against Darren Wilson. Never happened. That was his battle cry. He's going to get in there, he's going to do this, and come to find out he may have assisted in keeping some things quiet in some other cases. And I mean, everybody got in and started playing the far left. And everybody's friends of Dems. Now the funny thing is, Dems were all Black Lives Matter everywhere. They were kneeling in the foyer and lobby of Capitol buildings and all kind of BS playing to the emotions of black people and black people buying into it and all of that. And now that Black Lives Matter is being exposed, nobody's saying anything. Everybody's quiet. Everybody's being hush-hush about it because I think a bunch of people had their hands in the coffer. And boy, it's a bunch of people hoping that this thing doesn't really get momentum and get traction because a bunch of people are going to be exposed. There's probably going to be some people going to prison. And at the end of the day, you know what still is going to be the same? The plight of the poor black. Because nobody stood and fought. Nobody dug in. Nobody did anything to care, that shows true care and concern. Everybody was jockeying for a position. Everybody was looking for a way to benefit. That's one of the problems that we have now. Everybody looking to eat off of the suffering and the struggling of another group of people. And nobody's willing to step up and stand up and say, I'll fight. I'll go out. I'll do what it takes. It's all about who can eat. It's so easily to redirect a black person. Sit up there and say, man, I'm about this. They throw a couple of dollars your way. They give you a position. They give you access and tell you they got you. And all of a sudden, what you used to care about, you don't care about anymore. And now they got you. If a man doesn't have something for which he is willing to die, he's not fit to live. Dr. Martin Luther King. And, you know, like I said, one of the things that makes me a huge fan of Dr. King isn't that, oh, I have a dream and all of that. I get it. You know, every kid who ever dreamt of being an orator has done that speech, including me. But as I got older and I started to study, and I looked at the contrast of where Brother Malcolm was coming from and where Dr. King was coming from, and why there was this sort of sacred beef, if you want to call it that, between the two. And I started to look at the principles of it. I started to really become a huge admirer of Brother Malcolm, and I understood the dilemma. And I have never drawn a conclusion, and really at this point don't care to draw a conclusion as to whether Dr. King knew he was being used as a buffer to control the masses, or whether he really thought he could make change by being at the table. And what I do know, and what makes me a huge admirer of Dr. King, is that when he realized, or at whatever point he decided, okay, I can't do this, he made a very decisive and ultimately deadly decision to stand on the side of what was right. And looking and reading his memoirs, And where his mindset was when this was going on, he knew he wouldn't live long. And he did it anyway. If a man doesn't have something for which he is willing to die, he is not fit to live. And that's another reason why I admire and honor Brother King Darren Sales, man, because this brother literally came from the streets and became a true hero, a true warrior, a true fighter. And he told the truth. He warned us, and he paid with his life. And so my commitment to Brother Darren is that every chance I get, I'm gonna come for them. And I've been looking for that piece of evidence that'll allow me to finish what I started. And again, you know, my whole thing is, if somebody can do what I'm doing and do it better and make it happen, I'm all for it, because I have done work enough to know that my legacy is secure. And I have businesses that support me, so there's nothing I have to have from this struggle except I want my people to be okay. I'm looking at what's going on with our boys, and I know that I have the answer. I'm doing it on a small scale. I just want to do it on a larger scale. If there's some people that can take it over and learn it and do it, I'm all here for it. That's what, all I'm saying is it has to be done. And we've got to stop falling for the okie doke. We got to start falling. We got to stop falling for the misdirection, the grift and the con game. We've got to sit up and know what's going on. And I'm telling you, the people who are really doing it are the people on the grass, at the grassroots level, the people who are boots on the ground, that are out there doing their best. You know, these small organizations that can't get any playtime, that can't get any exposure, that very few people know about, are the ones who are putting it all on the line and going for it. We need to get behind groups, organization, and people who are actually out there doing the work. These big organizations are just machines that are used to grift and grab money. This, as Neota likes to refer to them as the nonprofit industrial complex. So that's all I have to say, man. Just keep your eyes open on what's going on. Just remember and go back and you can look at some of the things that I wrote, some of the things that I recorded back then, and what I've been saying ever since. And you're going to start seeing that old Doc, once again, is on his game. He knows what's going on. You know, the thing is, we lost a major opportunity. That really hurts. That hurts. Man, that was nothing like that that I could think of, that I saw, where the people were literally ready to die. They had enough. This wasn't, I'm gonna go burn up my stuff and then eventually I'm gonna get tired. That was gonna go until they sit in the buffers. They sent in agitators, they sent in buffers, they sent in actors, they sent in, they had it covered. They've got this thing down to a science of how to disrupt, and they use us to do it. On that note, look, I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. I'm about almost to the gym, get my head right, get in here and get this over with, get to my family. But once again, if you believe in the work we're doing at the Odyssey Project, if you want to see better outcomes with young black males, go to the description box, click that link, or go to our Cash App account and show some love. On that note, I'm out.